So first of all, the previous format, I felt it was quite challenging. It's
Mm,
been about 2 years since I last took it, and even then I found it quite tough.
mhm. So people online seem to agree, many people online seem to agree that it's generally a tough test, VERSANT is, though what exactly makes it difficult can vary from person to person. Both the previous and new formats seem to demand a lot of a concentration, right?
Right. I'm the type of person who struggles to maintain focus for long periods. In the previous format, tasks like repeating and sentence builds were tough because they require intense concentration. So, kind of like grammar exercises. But now
Mm.
with a new format, the sentence builds is gone, which is really, really lucky.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone probably feels relieved about that because census bills was really taxing. It's like even with TOEIC listening, they tend to lose interest midway through and feel like giving up because it's exhausting. So they might have a they might have had a bit of complex about the previous format, which is why the new one seems a bit easier.
Well, yeah, the sentence builds is gone. So for me, at least, it feels manageable. Like I can just about keep focusing. Focus issues are present in any test, I guess, but it depends on the individual. But yeah, some people like me find it easier to concentrate on shorter tests. So if you're the type who can concentrate well in short bursts, then you're probably good.
Mhm. Yeah. Talking about other exams like TOEIC are long. It takes like 2 hours or so. But during the instruction part, maybe many people manage to take a breather, which really helps. So they kind of get a feel for when to relax and when to focus. So yeah, anyway, how did you do in terms of scores with the previous version?
The scores, I think I got around 75 overall after a few attempts with the previous versions.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, considering the previous format has a maximum of 80 points, and for Japanese standards, getting 75 is quite high, right? In Japan, it's considered very high.
Yeah, I was trying my best, despite the fact that my attention span was unbelievably short.
Yeah, you were pushing yourself. So, what were your scores like? Did they go up or down?
Honestly, I don't think this will be helpful at all. I guess I'm kind of like an exception. When we were preparing to take the previous test, we did a lot of research, right? So,
Hmm.
like what kind of test it was and what the average score was. And they said it takes about 2 to 3 months to get higher score.
Mhm. So, yeah, many people were really saying it's hard to improve your score. They wrote something like, even after taking it 3 times, your score stays about the same.
Yeah. So the first time I got around 60 something, and then maybe about a week later, I got around 75. So
Mhm.
I went up by around 10 points in just a week. So it's quite rare, isn't it? I just I don't know how I did that. But basically they say even if you study for 3 months, if you can maintain your score, that's good enough.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, but this time I realized some of my tendencies, and that has led to some good results, I think.
Yeah, you scored 90 out of 90 this time. That was amazing, actually. So, how did you find the new parts, conversation, and the passage part, C and D?
Part C and D. The conversation was kind of like what Yuri mentioned in another video, but it's more like just regular listening, you know? And the questions were straightforward. So if you just listen and answer, you can probably do it. But it's not like those questions are set up for you, like in TOEIC. So you have to kind of predict whilst you're listening, which might be a bit tricky. So memory retention is very important. That's why I thought it might be good to take a mock exam once and try to retain things so you'll get used to doing it.
I see. So grasping the trends, right?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of which, based on what we were just talking about, it might be easy for people studying for TOEIC. It's not too bad listening to conversations between two people or someone making announcements like in those passages. So overall, when it comes to exams, it's all about grasping the trends and tendencies and strategizing accordingly, I guess.
Definitely. But yeah, for example, with listening, it's not just about understanding what you hear, but also being able to put that into words. In that, yeah. So in this VERSANT, it's not enough to just understand what you hear. You have to verbalize it somehow. It's like proving that you understood it by answering.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like the previous format where, you could just watch those how I took Varsant or how I aced Varsant videos or blog posts. And I found there were two patterns. So one was where people kind of copied the content they heard in the listening, and the other was where they paraphrased it using their own vocabulary and grammar. And in my case, if I have to repeat it word for word, I kind of get confused. So, like Yuri said, maybe it's easier to get the overall picture and then answer in your own words.
Yeah, makes sense. So, but if you think about it, being able to express it with your own vocabulary and grammar is because you can express a certain level of understanding and ability to convey meaning, right? And in a way, even if you understand it, getting to the point where you can answer with it pretty challenging, I guess. That's probably why practicing the listening part is crucial, like practicing how to respond to what you've listened to.
Definitely. And what I mentioned about those two patterns, like for the previous format, since they didn't have this listening part before, maybe just saying exactly what they heard or paraphrasing it was related to part E, the retelling part. It's not exactly the same section, but it's similar with retelling. Um, with retelling in the previous format and the new one, it hasn't really changed much, I think.
Maybe not.
Yeah. So retelling was with the previous one, I think I was trying to copy it word for word, but um, this time I ditched the idea. So stories have become really long, not everything, but there are longer passages than before. And if you try to memorize every single word, it's overwhelming. So I guess it's more about just getting the gist whilst you're listening. And I tried summarizing it using my own vocabulary, and it worked out well. So I think that might be a good strategy for some people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So it's about developing summarizing skills and stuff, you know?
Yes, exactly. And there was also something about the opinion section in terms of format. I don't think it's changed much between the new and previous formats, but yeah, it's just about speaking a lot, because if your answer is too short and ends in like one line, there's nothing to grade. So it's like you've got to try to express your opinion as much as you can before the time runs out.
Yeah, that's important. It's actually difficult for Japanese people, I suppose. It's hard to just keep talking about stuff that you're not really interested in or related to you. But I guess if you practice doing that from time to time, it might be good. Like, no matter what, whether it's Aiken or TOEFL, I think being able to give at least a minimal answer to any question or being able to express your opinion, at least minimally from within yourself, is really useful, right?
Yeah, definitely. So it's not just about English tests, but also about being able to have opinions in general and expressing your opinions. So I guess it's important to be mindful of those things in each part of the test. So everyone, try taking the new format and see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely.